Las Vegas, AWS reInvent 2024. I am your friend, Kyle. You've seen my face, probably on the internet. But hey, I am actually very privileged, nay, honored to have some of the most epic people today for the next 19 minutes where we're going to be talking about their careers of being in cybersecurity. And we're just going to kick it off. I'm not going to spoil any more time. But first, Shannon, who are you? Why are you here?
Well, first off, I'm also hosting with you.
What's your favorite color? What's your mom's maiden name?
Okay, let me start. Blue. No, we're not going to go down that road.
Okay.
But we are going to be asking some very special guests really interesting questions about their career. But mine first, as I'm an incident responder with the AWS Customer Incident Response Team. Been doing it for about 2.5 years now. And we've got some pretty sweet content coming up for that segment later on today, so stay tuned for that.
Yeah.
But really, this session is all about our two amazing guests here. So why don't we start off with Jess?
Sure. Hi guys, my name's Jess Bodini. I've been with Amazon Web Services for about 3.5 years now. I'm in the public sector team in Australia and I'm a senior technologist.
What does senior technologist really mean?
Oh my gosh, you know what? That's a great question. And honestly, I change the answer to that every day depending on who asks me. I don't own customers. I sit as a horizontal resource. So I work on more of the strategic issues, intersect a lot with policy as well. So helping shape kind of the future legislation that impacts our customers, in particular, critical infrastructure and cybersecurity.
Sometimes I forget how powerful and awesome she is, and also very intimidating. And now we got Megan as well. Yeah. I got a special spot for Megan because she's on my team.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Megan, introduce yourself. Tell the world, the viewers at large.
I am Meg Padada. I'm a senior security solutions architect. Wow, I messed it up. Working out of New York. Part of Kyle's team, helping customers with all things security, implementations, advisory, all the above, basically.
And so when I always talk with friends, and I know everyone's story, but I want, for those that want to start getting into cybersecurity, and specifically, we do cloud security on a regular basis, what kind of got you interested in security? Because, we work on threat detection and incident response, just as policy and legislation and a bunch of other fancy words that she mentioned. What really got you into this path or field?
Yeah. Okay. Go for it. Okay, cool. So basically, I always wanted to do computers, but I didn't want to do the basic computer science or engineering degree, and I wanted to find something a bit more interesting. And so I found the cyber forensics degree in my university, and that really led me down that path. I was also influenced by a movie where, a female detective kind of works at Interpol. She's finding cyber criminals, and I was like, wow, that's really cool.
Do you remember the name of the movie?
Oh my God. It'll come back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Chat, if you know what the movie is that she's talking about, put it in the chat because we want to know, because I'm not going to look on it for the internet. You got to tell me what that movie is, please, because it's going to bug me all day if I don't know.
Yeah, we'll find it.
We'll find it. Yeah. And kind of just started in security, pen testing or security architecture, working with CISOs, and then, just continued and got a job at AWS.
Amazing. What about you? Because you're in a different field from incident response and security. Like, you're in a domain that not a lot of people tend to go into, or it's not usually their first option or, choice. So, I mean, I'm saying this because, I think that your job is way harder than mine. So how did you get into it?
It's been an evolution. So I actually started back in the day doing incident response, doing intrusions analysis, many jobs where I've just lived in a basement with the guys in cargo pants and reverse engineered malware, done traffic analysis, big PCAPs up on my screen, trying to find the dodgy cookie fields. But I actually started my career in uniform in the Air Force. So I started in uniform, went into engineering, and then just kind of fell into cybersecurity by accident. accident. A lot of the work that I was doing in the defense world had a cyber aspect to it. And I figured to do that job well, I probably needed to figure out what this whole cyber thing was about. So at that point, I decided to just do a bit of study, and I kind of just, fell into it by accident. I wish there was a better plan. I've never been the kind of person who's had the 5-year plan. I thought it sounded cool. I did the study, and here we are later. So I've kind of evolved from the technical side and then gone, all right, cool. I want to influence something that's a bit bigger than that. And now I intersect kind of at both understanding the technology depth, but also trying to shape that broader landscape.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah. Now, you fell into cybersecurity. I mean, I always say that I have a security problem, right? But when you were going down this path, because a lot of folks that, that we interact with, and, Shannon and I, we have our own, security shows. We try to make security as approachable as possible. What were resources that you feel that those that want to learn more can leverage to learn more about security, specifically within AWS, or even wanting to go down like the policy or governance or compliance route?
Yeah, well, so my study, I did 5 masters, one being a master's of cybersecurity.
I'm sorry, you did 5 master's degrees?
5?
Yeah.
I barely graduated
I don't
high
have
school.
one.
I don't. Okay. Each to their own. Everyone has a different learning style. For me, I needed to figure out cybersecurity more broadly because it's such a broad space, right? You've got the governance, risk, and compliance, all the way down to the super hands-on keyboard stuff. So I needed to figure out the landscape first to be able to dive deeper. And a lot of the study that I did was kind of on the job, right? The work that I've done, if you do it outside of a certain agency, you can be arrested for it. So I feel like hands-on is, for me, one of the best ways to learn. In the AWS world, and like when I joined AWS, I didn't know how to spell cloud either. So I learned how to spell cyber, but not cloud. It was really doing the certifications that kind of helped me understand and bridge the language from the on-premise type of cybersecurity through to the cloud-friendly type of cybersecurity.
Yeah. No, I think similar into my vein, what I would say is just getting out there. I know like getting a job in cybersecurity, getting your hands dirty is the best experience, certifications and, YouTube, Twitch videos, like there's so many learning resources out there that it is filled with information. So I think just starting a job in cybersecurity, if that's what you want to do, working with amazing people. There's so many experts out in the field, so many people you can learn from. So mine was all about getting my hands dirty and working the tools, basically.
Did either of you have any mentors?
Yes. Yeah. So I did have a mentor, just part of any mentoring program as part of AWS or part of the other experience. You meet up on a regular basis. You try to understand like what your career goals are, what your career path looks like, what are other opportunities that they can like link you up with. And there's a lot of knowledge and wealth just shared through these mentorship programs as well.
Yeah, same. I've never really had formal mentors, which I kind of prefer. I feel like there's mentors that know that they're your mentor, and then there's other people that you see as a mentor, but might not have that formal relationship with, but you can still learn from. So throughout my career, I've had people that have looked out for me, which is awesome. People that have just kind of helped me navigate, the next step, but then also people that I've actually been able to see in a role that I've wanted, and I've gone, all right, that's it. When you see it, you know that you want it, and then you can go for it.
How can our viewers and those that are interested be more exposed to like those that they can see as like a mentor? Because if you're sitting in a box, you're not gonna get yourself out there. So were there like any user communities or just like groups that you found yourself kind of floating around with, and then you're like, this person I really look up to because they do this thing, and I feel like I could really learn from them?
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the things that really helped me is, going to networking events, right? Just like meeting up with people. There's so many meetup groups out there, like for like women in cybersecurity or just tech and cybersecurity, or coming to awesome conferences like Reinforce or Reinvent, where you get to meet people like us and just have conversations about, how do we get started? What do we do? What was our path? I've also sat on other panels to help other graduates as part of STEM and everything, just helping them understand, what does cybersecurity look like? Where do I start? Just networking basically gets you the way.
So you do kind of have to put yourself out there, right?
Yeah.
It's not, going to just come to you that, there's a saying like to win the lottery, you got to buy a ticket. You got to do, got to put yourself out there.
Yeah, you got to put in some of the work, right? So like what you were saying before, getting your hands dirty. Yeah. Even if you can't find a job that allows you to do it, there's still tons of projects online. There's still tons of resources. There's workshops. There's
there's AWS user groups. I know that throughout the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually some of them are really well represented throughout this week here at reInvent and at Reinforce.
Yeah, exactly. So like what you were saying, like if you can't find that job, just put yourself out there and find somebody who you can look up to, not necessarily be a formal mentor, because I've had those before and they can be pretty the relationship can be pretty interesting because it's really on you as the mentee to drive it. And when you don't know how to drive those types of relationships, or you don't know what you want really in terms of a career, it's really difficult to drive those types of mentorship relationships. So having the informal, finding somebody who's doing something that you want to do and just asking them questions, getting involved. I remember when I was working for the RCMP in law enforcement, and there were a couple jobs that nobody really wanted to do. So I said, I'll do it. And I got all the technical experience that I wanted to out of that just by saying, I'm going to do this thing and I will be the point of contact for it.
Yeah.
And just putting yourself out there.
Yeah. I think that can be really scary though. For me, I kind of took the leap of faith, and it was when cyber was kind of new. So there weren't people with, the 10 years experience that you were intimidated by. Everyone was kind of new to it and figuring it out. And I joined this deeply technical team, and I sat next to a guy called Trevor who had to very patiently explain to me that Python wasn't a snake.
Being from Australia, I'd understand, everything wants to kill you
pretty
there.
important distinction, right? Two very prolific Pythons in Australia. But yeah, like having, finding people like that who will take the time out to explain, because sometimes you don't know the questions to ask and you've got to just dive deep. And I think as a woman, women are more risk adverse in particular. You need to see the path, you need to understand the job and how you fit into it, and you need to see that you've got the credentials before you go for it. In cyber, you've kind of got to take the opposite approach. You've got to just dive in, take the risk and hope for the best and just learn as you go. And for me, I found out pretty quickly what type of work I wanted to do by trying work that I didn't love or loved for a period and then wanted to build on. Like I found, after kind of 2-3 years working in basements without windows that, that can get a little bit old. Sometimes it's nice
into a mushroom.
I'm pretty pale, so I don't need much sun, but yeah.
I think 2 years is a good max for those types of jobs. If you want to grow out of it, or if you haven't, reached out after 2 years of being in a basement, I think this is your sign to start looking at those windows and peering out to see where you can go from there.
Now, I do have a question for you, Meg.
Yeah.
Was the movie by chance The International?
No.
Was it Red Notice with Gal Gadot?
No, absolutely not.
Oh my gosh. So the chat is trying to help us out here.
Oh,
You're
no.
keeping me
Do
uneasy.
you have a little bit more hands to the movie?
Okay, so basically she's like I said, a female, detective working in Interpol, and she's trying to find this criminal who kind of, it's a bit sad, right? He's like abusing his clients and he's torturing them, and the more views,
Oh my god.
I
they're
regret
harder.
asking.
Yeah, so I was like, I don't know if I should mention this, but here we go.
Well, there you go, Internet. Don't look for those.
Don't look for it.
Okay, now, one thing I think we also got to look at too is, for those that want to understand how to learn more and be more involved with groups, there also has to be the other side to where the community has to be supportive and welcoming and approachable to that too. And I feel like there's a lot of programs that AWS has, there's the All Builders Welcome program. There's a couple others that I think we were calling out here. It's the AWS Cloud Up for Her program.
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah, it's an AWS program. Then it's an event essentially. It's a coding event for women, for young women to start jumping into any technical skills that they want to learn. They can build whatever application that they want to build. During the event, they have a ton of resources, a ton of mentors that will go around and help better understand the solution they're trying to build for. It's a really cool event, and I highly recommend everyone checks it out, especially if you don't know if you like or dislike Python at that point. It's a good opportunity to do it, but also it's a huge networking opportunity too. It really broadens your sense of understanding what you can do in terms of creating a solution with all the tech that's at your hands.
And so it sounds like it's also an opportunity to like let someone understand, is this like a field that they do want to get in without having to do like that full commitment of just like going,
Yes.
oh man, I spent, 4 years figuring this out and now I don't like it. I feel like that's most college graduates nowadays.
Yeah, I find that a lot of people who have gone through a long process, educational process, whether that's like through getting their master's or anything, and then they can't find a job, or I have a couple of friends that have gone their masters in cybersecurity, and they're like, I don't actually like this. It was, all the fab when I first started, and then now it's kind of like not something that I'm interested in. But there are opportunities to pivot from that, like what you've done. You've learned certain areas, and then you're like, I don't really like this part, but I like this part, and moving through it. I think it's really important to understand that no matter what you're doing and you're learning, there's the skills and ideas and experience that you have can still be applied elsewhere.
Yeah. And we focus a lot on security because we all do security on a regular basis, but there's many ways to approach just learning about new technologies, specifically about AWS 2 through these different programs that we have. You host your show that you have, the Safe Room, where it focuses on security. We have AWS OnAir, but then we also have, I mentioned the All Builders Welcome, which helps actually bring those that are learning about AWS here on almost like a scholarship to AWS reInvent, which is incredible. You mentioned the She Builds,
Yep.
and then the other program that we were just mentioning, the Cloud Up for Her program, which is also bringing you to get your Solution Architect Associates certification too.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're like, Kyle, you're talking about just security, no, it's well-rounded about AWS technologies.
Yeah.
Which is pretty neat.
I think that's the cool thing about cyber, right? 5 years ago, it was very different. In
Yes.
5 years' time, it will be different again. So you can't sit still. Whatever you learn today, honestly, in a year or two, you're probably going to need to brush up or change your skill set anyway. So that keeps me pretty interested. Otherwise, I get bored. And what I'm seeing in a lot of the work that I do is that cyber's kind of intersecting with all of the other facets of security towards resilience as well. So as I work with customers like critical infrastructure, they're worried about cyber, but also how that impacts supply chain, personnel security, physical security. So working in that cross-disciplinary way, I find is really exciting as well. You're not just stuck in a silo. So yeah, the world very much is your oyster, and it's constantly changing. So you constantly need to keep learning.
Yeah. Now, how do you stay up to speed on all these evolving technologies?
Practice makes perfect. No, I'm joking. It is impossible. I won't lie and say that it's easy. You have so many ways to keep connected with everything that's happening out there. Reddit, I do use Reddit to just find out about technology. It's like a fun way to find out what's happening, right? Watching blogs, watching YouTube videos, having people that you like in the community. There's so many, Reader's Digest that come out with all the new exciting things that are happening out there. But I think it comes back to one of our leadership principles, right? Like learn and be curious. I think resonates with a lot of us because we do like to go out there, experiment, try new things again. Like if a new service or a feature comes out, the number one thing that I'm doing is like going into the console and just checking out what exactly it does and does it work for my customers, right? It's just testing those things out. And so keeping up with the technology and even keeping up with the cyber like threat landscape is enormous. I'm sure like Shannon and Kyle, you guys can all attest to this, but attackers are getting so much more like sophisticated, so much more complex with everything that they're doing. So us, like who are trying to protect our customers and who are trying to be in this field, it's good to just understand, what motivates, like cyber criminals to do these kind of things. Like what are they trying to do? How do they get there? And then learning ways to protect yourself and, protect your organization that you're working for.
If you could give someone a 10-second piece of advice, both of you, what would it be about mentorships or learning about AWS technologies or the different programs we have?
I think generally when it comes to cybersecurity and learning and career, my advice would be do what you would do if you weren't scared. And I know that can be, a bit of a kitsch response, but for women in cyber in particular, I think if you just thought if you could take fear out of it, what would you do? That's what you should just go for and just put your blinkers on and just nail it.
That's awesome. Meg?
Yeah, I mean, I would say just, try it out, see if it works for you, right? I think we've all been on that journey. Come talk to us if you want to learn more and understand what we do, if you want to tweak out the details a little bit. I would just say try it, experiment it, and if it's not for you, that's fine.
And Shannon, what about you?
Oh, I would say just reach out to your network, see
Yeah.
what's happening. You never know when there's an opportunity and someone's looking for someone that has the exact skill set that you have. I mean, it doesn't hurt to ask.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, hey, friends, thank you so much for spending time with us to hear about your journeys and just different ways that you've approached learning about AWS and security and making it approachable for those that want to learn. Now, stay tuned because here at AWS reInvent 2024, we're going to try to find Nick somewhere on the expo floor because he's given a microphone for some reason. So we'll catch you soon. Peace out.